Hello, are we live now? Yes, we are. Wanda, dear, wonderful. How are you?
I'm good.
Tell us,
I'm
where
good.
are you? Where are you?
Where am I? I'm in Newfoundland, Canada right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Canada. Is it cold there?
Yeah, it's I think it's like -3, but it's not as cold as the rest of Canada. Canada does get really cold, but here on the island we're a little bit warm.
Very nice, very nice. Well, I'm so glad to welcome you. I'm in Saudi Arabia, and I love this that now we can do this from all over the world. I remember when this pandemic started, I felt I missed everyone. Now, no, we don't need to miss. We can celebrate here. And
Yes.
as I welcome you, I would also like to welcome all our beautiful audience. I've been off like for the last 2 months because I was moving from Mexico to here and all those things. But we are back to joy with new tools. We will hear about Wanda's tools. But before that, let me welcome you to San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. I have to put these on because otherwise I can't see the screen. And if I keep them on, you can't see my eyes. So let me put these on here so I can show this little video of Mexico. So welcome back. I hope you will be in San Miguel one of these days, and I'll be back probably by June.
Yeah.
I want
Gloria,
to ask,
the video is beautiful. Very beautiful.
well, the place is even more beautiful.
I hope I get to see it. Yes.
Yes. Well, let's imagine that we're going to be there together by the second part of the year, or else we'll see you in Dubai.
Yes, of course.
Can you remind us how we met? Let our audience know how we met in Dubai.
Wow.
2017, I think.
I think it was around 2015, and we
2015.
were at, or could have been 2016. It was around that time, and we were at a networking event, and I was there with Sam, and he was like one of my business associates there. And we were leaving, and you were walking out at the same time, and we offered you a ride home to your home.
Thank you. Looking what it resulted 5 years later. Oh, nice.
Well,
so tell us what makes Wanda happy.
Well, what makes me happy? Well, incidents like that, spontaneous, events that happen like that, and especially, when you meet someone as such as yourself, right? That's, that has so much to share and that's doing great work in the world. It could be too, like even just watching your video remind me of like the simplest little things, and for instance, like the warmth of the sun, right? Like here I am in Canada, like I'm cold and it's really hard on my body right now to be here. But when the sun is out and I go for a walk, I can feel that warmth.
Right? Nice.
And it uplifts me. Yeah. These flowers right here, I bought these flowers 2 weeks ago and they're still blooming.
Let us see them. Oh my God. I love flowers. Can you talk to flowers?
I do talk to them.
Yeah. They do talk back, and that is really happiness. You
Yeah.
said something that I remember you saying, God is a presence that is never an absence. And I
Right.
remember that those words were very relevant. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not only as I'm a business consultant and an ontological coach, I'm also a very spiritual person. And God to me is the biggest thing in my life, the biggest relationship
Mhm,
that I have.
mhm,
And, you know, like I said, the simplest things, like even meditation, like breathing in the breath of God, right? And acknowledging God by being in gratitude, like having ceremonies or rituals that, you know, presenting being grateful for God being in my life, because there's things that I've been through that I still don't know how I've gotten through it. And it's only the relationship of God, you know?
mhm.
And it's knowing that it's a presence. It's a presence that's never an absence. And
It's a
connecting with
presence
it.
that is never there. Where
Yeah,
do you feel God? Where is God present?
that's a big, huge question. And that's what God is, right? It's the mystery. It's the mystery of it, being with the mystery, you know? And like I said, remember breathing in the breath of God? Like this, it's our breath. It's everywhere.
It's a
It's in
mystery that is so clear that it stops being a mystery because God is everywhere in
yeah.
everything, absolutely everything. So it can't be an absence because it's everywhere, right? So
Yes.
it's a mystery, but it's not because you see it everywhere. You feel it
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah. It's never an absence. It's a presence
Never.
that's never an
Oh
absence.
yeah. You know,
Yeah.
here
And then you
just a little
yeah.
while ago, they started the prayer here in the Middle East, the Muslim world, and 5 times a day you can hear from the minarets,
Yeah.
Allahu
Yeah.
Akbar, which means
Yes.
God is great.
Yeah.
And that's a fantastic feeling because
Yes.
God is great and we are all God, then we're all great. And it's a beautiful feeling of reminding you in the air, the voices of the minarets, and there are several people that are closer to you that you can hear. God
Yeah.
is great. And then they say Alhamdulillah, which means thank God.
Yeah. Well,
Amazing. You know,
when
you've been in Dubai, but it
yes,
doesn't happen. Yeah.
yeah. I like in my 30s, I went because world religion, right? In high school for me was my top marks, right? That's what I did really well in. And then in
Mhm.
my 30s, I made a decision to travel to 4 different countries that represented 4 different religions.
Oh,
And I
nice.
researched, yeah. And being in Dubai, I fell in love with Dubai with the 5 day prayers whenever it would go off. I'd be in the mall and people would, you know, like people do their thing like in the mall and the prayers would, you know, would happen. Would I don't know how to say it actually because it's really loud on what happens. Just it then announces and it could be like music and it could be words that I don't even understand. But I would
Yeah.
have to stop. I would have to stop where I'm at. And if there was a chair next to me, of course I would sit. And
Mhm.
just sitting with it. Even though I didn't understand what it was saying, but just being with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just stops you. And for me, I had to put my heart, my hand on
Yes.
heart, and
Yeah.
just pause and hear the words. I
Yeah.
do understand the words, but even if I had not understood them, they're just so soothing.
Yeah.
Can I ask you another question? Who is one of the professional?
Well, I'm a business consultant and an ontological coach since 2005. And the word, when I say ontological coach, people say to me, like, what is that? Right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So the word ontology originated from Greece, like way back in ancient time. And it
Mhm.
means the metaphysics of the way of being of the universe. So, as an ontological coach, I work with individuals, groups, and teams, the corporation as a whole, on their way of being versus doing. So for instance, like with joy, right? So we just don't talk about joy or talk about how to be happy or how to feel joy. As ontological coaches, we work with you and the human being on 3 domains. Okay. So the 3 domains is the body, the emotions, and the language. And how we do that, we work with the observer that you are. All right. And we shift that observer so you can experience something new for yourself.
You shift the observer so the observer can see from a different perspective. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Can see from a different way of seeing, a different way of even listening. This is
Can you give us an example?
Pardon me?
Can you give us an example?
Give you an example. Example of how to shift?
Yes. How is this method?
Okay.
Tell us an example. I mean, I'm sure it's a lot deeper than being able to say it in half an hour.
I know there's so much that I could say, right, in examples. It depends. But would you like to try?
Yes. Yes, I'm sure we all would like to try. Okay. Yes.
Because it only takes like 30 seconds, right?
Okay.
To actually make a shift happen. Okay. So I gotta drink some water.
Okay, let's all drink water. Let the audience go get some water, and we're gonna drink water.
This is actually a muscle. Like in my training, when I got trained, I trained with Newfield Network. And it's the oldest and best ontological coaching program in the world.
Newfield, you said?
Newfield Network. Julio Leila is the founder of Newfield, and he's my mentor.
Julio Leila?
Yeah, he's originally from Spain, but he grew up in South America.
Okay, Julio Leila, and the enterprise's name is what? What? What's the name of the company, of the method?
Newfield Network.
Newfield. Okay, I'm going to write it here so people know if they want to know more about it.
Yeah, Newfield Network. And they could also get in conversation with me too on it as well.
Here, this is the way to write it?
Yeah, that is the training program. That's where I trained. I've been doing this work for 15 years.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he's my mentor coach, my trainer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And he said to us, he taught us, and I found this very interesting, that he mentioned that joy is actually a muscle in our body.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it needs to be exercised daily. And once we acknowledge that, like that muscle, that joy can actually grow bigger and bigger and bigger. And it becomes, who we are, right? We don't really have to practice. We just tap into that muscle, and that muscle is our natural, way of being.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I totally agree. So tell us a little bit more about that muscle and how we can practice that.
Well, okay, it's like a little technique of it. Okay, so make sure that you could be sitting or standing, but make sure your feet, if you're sitting, are flat on the floor.
Okay.
Okay. And just get comfortable. Just recognize, you don't have to close your eyes or anything, but it's just making sure that your feet are flat on the floor. And you bring your awareness, not your focus, because your focus is up here, right? It's in the head, but awareness is like a feeling. So you bring your awareness 3 inches below your belly button. Mm-hmm. And you may want to place your hand on your belly, right? One hand, like below your belly button. You could tap there, or you could suck in your gut. All right, just intensify it to get you into that core. So you just bring your awareness there, and I'm trying to work with the camera here. Like, say this is the front of your belly. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. And this is your back. So I want you to bring your awareness inside of you. like it's a rock, like in your core, right? As if you were going to lift weights or something. And just bring your awareness again down to the bottoms of your feet. All right, and you feel the earth or the floor on the bottoms of your feet. And you notice even your body shifts. Right? Did you notice that about your body? Like you had to sit up because earlier you were sitting like this, right?
No, it's actually pendulum, back and forth.
Yeah, yeah. So just bring your awareness and intensify it even more. 3 inches below belly button. Don't close your eyes because this helps you to be in the world and be able to shift, right? So your body will naturally shift up. And your emotions, I mean, you could think of something. Did anything happen like today or the past couple of days or the past week, something negative that really upset you? Whatever. You can try and think of it. But it's hard to think of it.
Mm-hmm. So once we did this, what next?
So could you think of something negative?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not negative, but challenge. Yeah.
Something that upset you, right? Like something because sometimes we get, we have limiting beliefs or thoughts or negative thoughts.
Or there's a storm that ruined your hair.
Yeah.
I mean, there are things that happen. Yeah.
Or even just one little negative thought, one little incident. So now bring your awareness again now 3 inches below your belly button. Just draw that in. Keep your eyes open though, because you're in the world. And you want, okay, so try to think of that negative thought. Do you find it hard?
What did you say?
Is it hard for you to think of that negative thought? Like once
No,
you're there?
I have it present in my mind, how it was.
Yeah. So when we bring ourselves back into our core, it's hard for us to be in our heads, right? In that thought.
Uh-huh.
So it shifts the mood. Right? And because your thoughts are changed, your language change. I mean, I could share what happened last night. Like I was here last night, I was a little bit upset. Not a little bit, I actually had a breakdown.
I love your vulnerability.
I was so upset that I was here in Canada and I'm in the cold. And it's like my body is cold and I'm in pain. And because I had this titanium rod in my leg as well. I was hit by a car back in 2012. So I had to deal with it. So I'm in the middle of this breakdown. And it's important to have that, right? To be in your upsetness. But because of my training, sometimes, even my training gets on my own nerves because I know that I have to do it. So,
I don't want to be happy. Get out, training. Let me be unhappy for once. Let me just be. I'm sure all of us have gone through that.
So here I am bawling. My friend is there with me because she actually triggered it because when she came into the room and then I started crying because it's a safe place then, when someone is there. So I was sharing all my frustrations and she said, just lie on the couch, just be, and I'll take care of you, right? Like, just take care, and cry if you need to. And I said, well, I can't lie on the couch. I just can't lie in it.
I just can't what?
I just can't lie in it. I just can't lie on the couch. Some people will lie in their, misfortune or depression or whatever, right?
Or happiness or just sleep.
Yeah. Right?
But you can't.
No, I can't. I can't because of the work that I've done on myself, especially with the ontology work. It changes the way you think. It changes your body and emotions. So I said, I'm going to make pancakes.
Hey guys, I think we've got an invitation here. If you get upset, let's call Wanda and she'll make pancakes for us. What do you say? I like this. Is a good deal. I'd love to make pancakes if I'm upset.
And my friend was saying, no, just don't do nothing, just lie down. I was like, no, I just can't lie in it. I've cried, I've let it all out. Now I want to make pancakes. So that's what I did. I got up, I shifted the body, right? I got up and we had Newfoundland blueberries, right? Homemade blueberries. So that's what I did. And I also made some extra pancakes with some chocolate chips and that too. And they were organic.
And you were feeling better?
What's that?
You were feeling better? You were feeling better?
Yeah. But it was because, like I allowed myself to release, right? Like to cry and to let my frustrations out without any judgment, and it was okay, right? To feel the way I was feeling. And when, I tell my clients this too, that it's important to feel our feelings, feel the emotion. So because it releases much faster that way. And I know that. And because I know that, I allow myself, and that's why the work works really fast, with me and my clients, right? And then I could get up and make pancakes.
What are 3 tools that you use to come back from a challenge like this, maybe even something much bigger, that you use and that you would like to share with our audience?
Well, I mean, like I said, one of them is, we don't, as ontological coaches, we don't have a whole lot of like tools. We have that technique where we get you in your core and your essence of who you are. And when you're in your core, right, in your body, you're head of, and I mean like the core in your gut, right, like in your body, and your feet are connected to the earth. Your spine automatically aligns up. And it's hard. It's hard for you to think of something negative. You could practice it during the day, your audience here if they want to.
So in other words, the tool would be not to be distracted as of what should I do, not do, but to just be concentrated on centering, aligning yourself with the tool, like you said. Put your fingers 2-3 centimeters under the belly button. Yeah. Take a deep breath. Connect yourself with the palms of your feet.
Yeah.
Just don't close your eyes so you're present.
Right, because like keep our eyes open to be in the world, because we're in the world.
So we want to stay in the world. So in other words, you're sort of bringing out the valor in each one of us. So I want to face what's on earth. I don't want to close my eyes. And then you said, think about something that was bothering you, and shift it down to the belly button. Acknowledge it in your belly. Is that what you said?
Yeah, to see how long it will stay. If you're in your gut, like in your body, in your core, you're head of your head, right? And it's hard to keep a limiting thought. And in ontology, we work with the OAR model, observer, actions, and results. And you learn how to become the observer of yourself. And this technique, you go in, you have to practice it. I mean, you need to.
Let me write that down. Observer. What is it?
Yeah, it's the observer, action, and result.
And result.
And you can Google this, actually. There's all kinds of models that is on Google for this. It was a model created back in the early 80s that was incorporated here in companies and organizations in America. And we've adopted that model. Newfield adopted that model, actually, and it's implemented into our training program. So this is what I work with individuals on. We have a conversation, about the observer, actions, and results. What results do you want to achieve, right? It could be like 3 weeks,
like you did now.
3 months, 3 years, And then we look at our, our actions, but we only work with 2 actions.
Which are?
Which is the physical, as well as, would you like to guess the second one?
Physical and emotion. Would it be the emotional?
A lot of people say that, emotion or a mental action, but how do you put
the way you express your thoughts to the language, maybe?
Well, you're close. Yeah, it's the speaking. So
Okay.
the first action is physical, and the second one is speaking. What conversations are you having in order to get your results, right? So that could be personal or professional results, right? And my goodness, this is another conversation to have too. That you know that it takes 30 days, right, to change a habit, right? 21 to 30 days to change a habit. And it takes 30 to 90 days to implement that new way of being. So when we do work,
Which is harder, right? The hardest part is to implement it. Is that correct?
yeah, and that's why we don't do no less than 3 months with somebody, okay, with an individual or even with a corporation, okay, because it takes that long to be able to implement, the practice. And you know that what we've been taught in the schools and our society, and that to take action, we take the action steps we need to take, and sometimes we get positive results, and sometimes we don't get no positive results, right? Not that we're looking for what we're looking for, but we tend to do the same action steps over and over. So this, with the ontology work, we bring you over to the observer of yourself. Now, this is not like observing what's outside of you. This is observing what's going on inside of you. So any beliefs or thoughts that may came up, and that's why we did that little exercise, right? Like if you have like a negative thought, right, a negative limiting belief that's getting in the way of the action steps, that you want to take to get your results, or the conversations that you need to have. Okay, so we learn how to interpret those beliefs, but ontology is not therapy either. It's not like psychology, or we don't stay in the limiting thoughts. We just learn how to do it really quick, efficiently, right? To acknowledge it, to be able to shift it.
In other words, you make peace with your feelings of frustration. You make peace with your feelings of fear by coming to the present moment with your palm of your hand under the belly button. You stay, and then you don't judge, because in the now you can't judge. You need to be in the past or in the future. If you're right now, right here, so now you'll be able to breathe because you're not judging, and now you'll be able to say, thank you. Is that it?
Yeah. And when you have an empowering belief, you learn how to anchor that in yourself even more as the observer, right? To be able to take those action steps.
Very good.
And listening. That's as the observer, you learn how we teach how to listen. And this is not just active listening, right? We actually go deeper than active listening. And the shift happens really quickly. I've worked with so many people.
How do you go deeper than active listening? What's the technique?
Well, I can't tell you that because that's like a full workshop.
Well, at least give us an idea, and then maybe later on I can write here what is your website or how people can come back to you to have the full enchilada. But just for the sake of description, how do you activate this deeper listening?
Well, again, we have to practice being in, being in the coherence of the human being, right? To be able to shift the 3 domains, shifting the body, the emotions, and the language. And once you practice that, the only way I can explain it, Gloria, is to give you an example. All right. So first, when I started this work, I had one of my first learning groups. I made sure that I had, it was a small group, but I made sure that the people there were diverse. So I had like a doctor, a psychologist, I had a nurse, I had a teacher, I had a business person. I think it was only like 5 or 6 people there.
Okay.
So I told them, okay, we just didn't talk about listening. We actually had to learn this technique and practice it, in that workshop. And I said, you're going to get really annoyed, right, with what we're doing. But I mean, sometimes the world does that to us, and we end up missing out on what we need to listen for. right? In order to take those action steps, right? To get our results. So we did the work in that, 2.5 hour workshop that we did. And then they went back to their lives that following week. Okay, so they came back the next week because it was a learning series, what they were learning. This is what I offer as well. It's a learning group series to corporations and that. And
where do we find you? Where do we find you?
Where do you find me?
Yes.
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook and Instagram.
As Wanda, just as your name?
Wanda Heffern. Yeah, I'm actually working on my website right now. I'm revamping my website and I'm looking for someone to help me with that.
Okay, very good. Our time is up, but here are the details of our sweet Wanda, please. If you want to know more how you can activate deep listening so that you come back into peace in times of challenge, let's stay tuned with Wanda. And before I leave, I would like to show you what we do at Villas Hishu to stay grounded. We have this temple that you're going to see here, and we go back to joy. Being in the space of I feel good, you have put us in that space. Thank you so much, Wanda Heffern. It's a joy. I don't know if I'll see you in Dubai. It's all, it depends on the airports and all these things that human beings like to control. But one thing for sure, I'll see you right inside me. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Gloria.
Next Thursday for another session of Back to Joy. And staying joyful is contagious. So it is really the best service we can give to the world, because Wanda and I are now, dancing in the joy and sprinkling whoever wants to allow the sprinkle, which is actually the presence of Source. Thank you, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Wanda dear. And stay tuned until next week. God